These are algebra notes for section 1.3, where we're going to look at literal equations and formulas. So you've used formulas before. You use them for area, you use them for perimeter. Now we're going to rearrange them so that we can isolate one specific variable. And a literal equation, you probably haven't heard that term before, but it's just an equation expressed in variables. So the hints, I'm just going to put 2 hints on there, and these are the hints that work for me. My first hint is to highlight the variable I'm solving for. And then I'm going to move everything else to the other side of the equal sign using inverse operations. Okay, so our first example is a formula maybe you're not super used to. This is the formula for distance, and the instructions tell me, or the directions tell me to solve for t. So this is distance equals rate times time. And I want to decide what's happening to t, and t is getting multiplied by r. So since t is getting multiplied by r, I want to divide by r to get t alone. So t equals d divided by r. The next one is the conversion from Fahrenheit to Celsius, but now we're going to solve for Fahrenheit. So if you see where Fahrenheit is, right now it's inside this parentheses. So we're not going to touch that parentheses because we've got something else happening to it. It's getting multiplied by 5/9. So we could divide both sides by 5/9, or we could multiply by the reciprocal, 9/5. So 9/5. So that's 9/5 with a C equals F minus 32. And we want to get F alone. So we have to add 32 on each side. And that tells me that F equals 9/5 C plus 32. Now we're going to use these formulas down low. So make sure you make it really clear what that formula is when we isolate. This next one is the volume of a rectangular prism. So volume equals length times width times height. And it's telling us we're going to solve for the height. So height is getting multiplied by length and width, and we want to get length and width alone. So the height equals capital V divided by L times W. And on derivative, if you're doing a derivative assignment, if it's a capital letter, they want you to use a capital letter. So be careful with that. Now this next example wants us to solve for W. So this is the perimeter of a rectangular shape. 2W plus 2L equals the perimeter. So the first thing we're going to do, since the W is living in this term, we have to move the other term to the other side. So we're going to subtract 2L from each side. So P minus 2L equals 2W. And we want to get W alone, so we want to divide everything by 2. So those 2's will cancel and those 2's will cancel. So the width is the perimeter divided by 2 minus the length. I always use a cursive L so it doesn't look like a 1. Okay, next one asks us to solve. I believe this one should say solve for x. So fix that. And then we're going to notice that x is living inside that term. So we're going to start by subtracting b on each side. So y minus b equals mx. And we're going to divide both sides by m, divide both sides by m, and m. And that's going to leave me with x equals y over m minus b over m. Now, some people might express it like this, y minus b over m. So if one doesn't work in derivative, try the next way. Okay. Solve the formula for h using the area of a triangle a equals 1/2 bh. So here's my formula, 1/2 bh. And when I multiply both sides by 2, that's going to give me 2a equals bh. And we can't have a fraction in the denominator, so don't do that. You have to multiply by the reciprocal because mathematically we never want a fraction in our denominator. Then if we want to get h alone, we have to divide everything by b. So h equals 2a divided by b. Now, using that equation from above, find the height of a triangle when a is 18 and b is 9. So we're going to take that formula, 2a over b, and instead of a, we're going to say height is equal to 2 times 18 over the base, which is 9. 2 times 18 is 36 divided by 9, so the height is 4 inches. Okay, all right, now we're going to use the things we wrote above. So use formulas from above. So in half an hour, Sarah's meeting her friend at the lake. The lake is 6 miles from her house. At what speed must she ride her bike to get there on time? So we're looking at 3 things. I'm going to use this distance equals rate times time formula. And the distance I know is 6 miles. Whoops, let's put a 6 where the D is. 6. And speed, that's my rate. And I don't know what it is yet. So I'm going to put an R there. And the time, when we measure time, or when we measure, if we have distance, rate, and time, we measure that in miles per hour. So if we have a half an hour, well, that's going to be the decimal 0.5. So I'm going to use that for the time. And when we divide both sides by 0.5, that's 6 divided by a half. My rate is 12 miles per hour. So we're always going to take that time and relate it to an hour. So if it was 1 hour, we would use 1. If it was 1.5 hours, we would use 1.5. So we're going to use that skill again right here on the next problem. Kira is going to the store 2.5 miles away. So that's information I need. That's my distance. She has only 15 minutes to get there. So 15 minutes, that's 15 out of 60 minutes in 1 hour. That's 1/4, which will tell us to use the decimal 0.25. So at what average speed, so we don't know R, Let's fix that so we don't know our rate. So distance equals rate times time. We'll divide both sides. Well, we'll fill in first. The distance is 2.5. We don't know our rate, but we know our time is 0.25. And when we divide both sides by that number, we'll get that R equals 2.5 divided by 0.25. So that's 10 miles per hour. You could do it on a calculator. You could do it by hand. 2.5 divided by 0.25. You're going to move the decimal twice here. So twice here. And 25 goes into 250. Whoops, 10 times. Okay, next, a worker at a framing store is making a rectangular frame. He knows the perimeter is 144 inches and the length is 40. So the formula we used above, W equals P divided by 2 minus L. So W equals P divided by 2 minus L. So I can see in the problem the perimeter of the frame is 144. And the length is 40. So when I plug those values into the formula, I'm just substituting their numbers. So I'm substituting 144 in for 2. And the length is 40, so minus 40. So that's 72 minus 40. So the width is 32. Okay, and the last one is converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So let's go up and look at that formula. F equals 9/5 times C plus 32. F equals 9/5 times C plus 32. Double checking I have that right. Okay. So he should bake bread at 190 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Okay, and you know what? We don't need that 30 minutes. So I'm going to unhighlight that and I'm going to just highlight the 90 degrees Celsius because that's all we have to substitute. C equals 190. So F equals 9/5, and instead of C, I'm going to put 190. I'm just going to make it over 1 plus 32. And I'm going to pull up my calculator and multiply, or have 9/5 and multiply that by 190. And that's going to give me 342. And I have to add 32 to that. So the Fahrenheit temperature is 374 degrees. So that is the conversion. And you might see that on a box of brownies. It tells you how to, the temperature in Celsius or Fahrenheit, depending on where you're baking. So that's how you would use that, and make sure you are substituting the correct numbers in the correct spot for your work.